Welcome back to Different Gravy, not just another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. We are right in the midst of our post-season review, episode 2 of 3. How are you feeling, Luke, at this juncture? We've ticked off 11 names in alphabetical order. We started at Adedoyin. We ended up at Deli Bashiru, like all good lists, and we're about to kick things off with Che Dunkley. We had a little sneak preview. But you feeling well?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to get into this. This is going to be fun.
You're full of vim, full of pith.
Vim, pith, vinegar. I feel like vinegar's missing.
Vinegar's there too.
Yeah, got some of that in the tank.
Some salt.
Oh yeah.
A little bit salty, a little bit spicy.
Oh yeah. Ooh, a little bit of sugar as well.
Ooh, pour some sugar on me.
Ooh, pour some sugar on Luke, and a bit of give me some umami flakes in there as well.
Awesome. I was gonna say, in this context, what would you ascribe umami to? I mean, where does that fall in this?
We're just gonna sprinkle some MSG across some players' ratings. That's what we're gonna do. Right.
It's an interesting. This is an interesting group. It's. I mean, they're all mixed bags, but this is misshapes. I think this is knockoff roses from the factory store. This is going to be. There's some real odds and sods in this group. Shall we dive in? Shall we get there?
Let's put a pony in our pocket.
Shall we overcommit to Che Dunkley in the way that he overcommits to many a challenge?
Number 22. That, Rich. He's number 22 in our squad. Thank you for that, Rich. I do appreciate that. So Che Dunkley.
He's our 22. Gives kittens to me and you. Looks like he's gonna win the header. Then he completely misses the ball and the man. You know that song we all love. Realistic football chants is one of my favourite genres of self-made music.
So Che Dunkley, he got a B+ in the first half of the season, which was remarkably hard to listen to in retrospect when I came back to this to get his grade. We got some mileage out of a player who feels like he's been here longer than 2 years. Or has it just been a lot of forgetting who he is and now he's around the team? But it did genuinely feel a shame we didn't get to see him kick on from that stint in the team where he looked dangerous from set pieces and found the chances to be his best in this division.
He got Player of the Month, was it November or December?
Something like that, yeah. Do you remember how we talked about maybe sponsoring a player at the halfway mark and we just missed out on Che Dunkley? And we were so gutted.
Yeah, we would have done it, I think, if Dunkley was available. And imagine how dismayed we would be at how his second half.
With a poor usage of our monies.
Sorry, just two things to note, just in passing. It was November, so we probably were right in the midst of the heady days of good Che Dunkley for as long as they lasted.
We were deep in Dunkley.
Are you aware of Che Dunkley's full name?
Oh, it's massive. Yeah.
It's massive, and it's also brilliant. He is Cheyan Armani Keanu.
Keanu, yes.
Che Dunkley. Beautiful stuff. Sorry, I've only just spotted that, and that is fantastic.
That is wonderful.
Whatever score you've given him, Luke, I think you need to give him another half mark because of their name.
Okay, we're going to do that then. Okay. So weird end to a disastrous signing. I say weird end because, I don't know, I think I don't really see how he continues at Sheffield Wednesday.
It was so strange to sign him with a broken leg.
With a double broken leg.
A double broken leg, sorry, yes.
So I always got confused. So was the lead piping in the conservatory with Professor
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
the British rapper. It's
Yeah.
new Celebrity Cluedo coming ITV this fall. Um, I'm gonna abandon that
Very
idea. Sorry, I thought about carrying on, but I thought that's something questionable. But I'm gonna swerve to say that around that. So his one leg was broken in two places, or did he have two legs that were broken?
I believe it's the one. I think it was tibia and fibia break on the
Okay.
one.
Okay. So when I said he had two legs that were broken, because I put it out there like we all have like five legs, you know. So it feels like the end. It feels like a weird end to a signing that was just bad. It was a bad period, and unfortunately, I think he's been a bit of a bad poster child for that period of kind of a Monk signing that was bad. Talks a great game on Twitter, I must
He
say,
does.
and
And I think we were struck early doors by him talking a great game in press conferences as well.
oh, totally, he's a great character for that, and I imagine he's probably going to have a decent media career down the line.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. But and yet, the weird ending to the end of that season of thinking like, why didn't we kind of see a bit more of him in certain senses?
Yeah.
Like I think it's a weird kind of thing if you're bringing on a defender not to shore things up, but maybe someone who's going to attack some set pieces and like get
Yeah.
long and kind of attack things in the air. You could probably see some of that from him. I mean, I don't know if I'm kind of. It's just odd. It's an odd signing. I don't know what his best is like,
No.
and
There
it
are.
just feels oddly sad and tragic that we never got to see that.
Yeah. I think what I'd convinced myself around the period where we picked up the Player of the Month award was
Hmm.
he just genuinely is a guy that
That's true. I can verify.
but he's a guy that kind of all the talk of being rusty and out of like not being that kind of like we talk about match sharpness and things like that. It really shows for him, and I think I just sort of convinced myself really what we just not previously he'd not had the opportunity to knock the kind of the rust off and just be him. And I think he's naturally quite an awkward looking person. Like I don't know. I'm guessing he's just sort of like
He's got a fascinating gait when he runs.
yeah. Some people are natural athletes. There's a natural grace to the way they move, and you can just tell there's a kind of hop in their step that this is somebody, they're fit, they're very able, they're whatever, and they the sort of person that like I just saw a clip there's FA Cup coverage all day. They talked about Alan Hansen. Alan Hansen was like a squash prodigy. He was he like was on some sort of team for golf. He was on, like just a natural. I think like everything he played, he was good at. And I don't think that's Che Dunkley. I think Che Dunkley's the opposite of that. I think it's hard work. I think it's graft. I think it's hours in the gym. I think it's just, and so for him being off his game by a percentage or two really makes a difference. And it's frightening when it's not how it should be, when it's not up to speed. And we've unfortunately in a 2-year stay with Wednesday, we've really only ever seen him not in this awkward ring rust phase for a spell of a couple of months, possibly at best. Because it came back to that. And I do think that I take your point. I think there would have been moments that would have been good to see him towards the end of the season. I think he did have things to bring to the table. But at the same time, do you want him working his way through that towards match sharpness in the middle of a very pointy end of a campaign that's been a struggle to get where we were? And I can sympathize with not wanting to take the risk really as well. I can see both sides.
Yeah, fair enough.
But a really fascinating figure, an interesting, divisive figure. We don't know whether he's going to be here or not. I hope we probably don't take the risk of another
Yeah.
Another season with Che.
Very much so.
But at times he's looked like one of Darren's golden boys. So who knows?
So,
do we know whether he loves Jesus or not? That's a big question. I suspect he probably does, and therefore maybe he gets to stay.
I think that's a bit scandalous.
No, I don't think it is scandalous. When players were signing in the summer, a lot of them sort of said like, "Oh yeah, we know him through whatever his thing is, Footballers for Christ or whatever it is." Like, it's a genuine thing.
Okay.
Darren Moore's a massive Christian, and a lot of the players we signed in the summer were Christian. Shadipo, Adeniran, several of them knew him from this organization he's part of or he runs. So I don't know. I think it's a factor. Maybe not the be all and end all. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it now, Luke, because it's clearly not the most comfortable territory.
I don't know. Anyway, so I would have given him a revised B-, but a bit of a record scratch, because he has Keanu Amani in his middle name. He gets a bit.
Keanu Amani, nice, lovely stuff. I'm now feeling like I want to know everybody's full name, but just in case they've got a little Keanu lurking in them.
Well, there is one player who I've actually noted down his middle names, but we'll get onto him. He's further afield. Maybe not this episode as well.
A name sort of stretching mundanity to its limits is Lewis Jack Gibson, on loan from Everton, and managed to rack up, and this is again a kind of shocking, just 5 appearances for first team in the league. He did have a start in the Silly Cup to add to that, but 3 starts and 2 sub appearances.
So he had 45 minutes for his last review stage. Since then, he's played a bit more than that.
Yes.
I went with a C then. Maybe he's done a bit more to get a C+ on his marks. I definitely think he gave more than he did in the second half of the season to warrant much more. And it was frustrating to see how much of the first half of the season he lost and just how good he was in the majority of the time he played in the second half of the season. It looked in those moments like he was a player that we and Moore needed. And then the injuries happened, and it meant we barely saw him again, or some blink and you'll miss it non-appearances from the bench. I'm curious to see where he ends up and what he does next for his career.
There's been some talk, and I don't know whether this is just speculative rumours because the internet's full of people just making nonsense up for pulle giggles, as they say in France. But there's been some talk that the reason he's sort of remained with us despite that shocking injury record is that we maybe have some ideas about him signing on for us next season. How would you feel about that if that was the case?
That's a really, really good question, Rich. I don't really know how to answer that. I'm going to be honest. Like, he's definitely, when I've seen him play, a very talented player.
Yeah.
What game was it where we managed to see some goal that he kind of crafted from the left wing?
He made a goal in the Rotherham game. I think he got an assist for himself in that game away. Not Rotherham, sorry, Doncaster away. That was rather nice.
That was rather nice, yeah.
He got forward I think he played the next game and got forward as well. He looks like a natural. If we're going to play a 3 at the back, it makes sense to have a left-sided centre-back. It makes sense for that left-sided centre-back to be a big, strong lad who can win headers and looks like a centre-back. But it also would be nice if it's somebody that can get forward. And he seems to have all of that. The only thing is his legs are glued on and he doesn't seem to be able to play more than 45, 50 minutes of football at a time without breaking for months and months on end.
Yeah, and he's 21.
He's 21 and he's already a very, very broken toy.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense for us to persevere with Gibson.
But from what we've seen from him, I'd love to see more of that. But can't guarantee we'd see more. We'd probably get another 5 appearances, but we'll be paying the full price for it.
But if there's still the problems of Middlewood Road, if there's still problems with whatever the problems lie at Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry, I did see another post again of someone hanging out with Tony Pulis on our talk, who basically saying that the surface is too hard underneath at Middlewood Road. Like
Right.
it's soft on top but hard beneath. And apparently it's too much money for Chancery to put more money in to correct it, basically. So,
I
but
was just hanging out with Tony Pulis.
that seems to be the case. But I don't know. I mean, but that's always been a very popular kind of opinion, right? There's something wrong with Middlewood Road and the trading ground. Whether that is the true meaning and problems, I guess that's interesting. Didn't Darren Moore say that he's going to be doing a kind of a more structured scientific inquest into things, and they needed the summer to do
Maybe. I love the sound. I'd love to sit down in a lab coat squatting.
Well, I like that idea because I mean, he'll probably have some vacation with his family, right, over the summer. But then he's got to get back. Got to get back to work, Darren. Got to get some players in. What are you doing today, Darren? I'm sure we all in our respective fields have, definitely parts of our career where, we've had managers who kind of wish and attest we do some busy work. So I love the concept of Chancery giving Darren some things to do. Darren's maybe just sitting there with his feet up on his desk, just staring out the window, and Chancery comes by and tosses a J cloth and some Dettol. I'd be like, why don't you clean your desk, Darren, if you've got enough to do? If you've got nothing to do, we'll find things for you to do. Don't worry. Don't do your work slower, Darren. Don't worry. We'll do it the regular pace, and we'll find things for you to do.
Oh, I love it.
We're conducting a time and motion analysis, Darren, on how much time it should take you to take a squat on the sidelines. Yeah, so I don't know with Lewis Gibson. Like, so again, sorry, the thing I was saying with that injury situation and Hex and the hoodoo and what it legitimately might be is I'd much rather sign players who've had more appearances and then they come and get crocked at Sheffield Wednesday rather than taking on more gambles on other injury-prone players.
Yeah.
Knowing that we still have Dominic Iorfa in the squad.
It's back to that thing of the definition of madness is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome. And if you've spent a season waiting on a player to get fit and they've never got fit, signing up for another 2-3 years of waiting for them to get fit seems like a ludicrous thing to do. Even though, man alive, he looks like a good player, but there's just not been enough of it.
Rich, have you ever dabbled into, Ludacris, the rapper?
I'm aware of his oeuvre.
Have you heard about his latter career kind of social media status on Instagram and Twitter, the socials, where he's become like making dad jokes and like posting kind of daddish memes and going, "That's ludicrous." Hashtag that's ludicrous.
That's ludicrous. I love it. That sounds good. He's obviously part of the family, the fast universe. So that sort of cutting edge humor is exactly the sort of thing we respond to as fans of that franchise.
Which reminds me, I did see, was it the guy who does the jokes about working, like being at a job and then he turns on customers.
Oh yes.
But one of the ones he did was saying like, you're part of the family, and he says this isn't Fast and Furious. It's like, being part of a family doesn't mean I apply for 3 other jobs this week.
Oh dear. So have we landed on a score?
He got a C+. Sorry, thank you.
B+. Sorry.
No worries.
This next person is going to be interesting. Number 19, Andre Green.
Oh, I thought we were going to a different number 9. Andre Green got a C- at halftime, and who am I? How could we forget those green times, Rich? Those green, beautiful times.
He went and he's gone and won the league in Slovakia.
Well, so, we know when we came through the door, we all clapped eyes on him and said he looks like a Slovakian title winner.
This guy's got Slovak Super League winner, Liga winner written through him like Blackpool Rock. That's what we said. Green's first major trophy, Green stated that this had justified his decision to leave England. There we go. It's made it all worthwhile. Andre Green, the Athletic has an article, Andre Green swapping Aston Villa for Slovakia, eating dumplings with sheep's cheese and grueling forest runs.
Well, I do the grueling forest runs if I get some of that tasty. What type of cheese is it? Ghost cheese?
That sheep's cheese just goes right through me. that sheep's cheese goes right through me. I honestly, I feel like it's barely touched my lips before before I've got those forest runs.
Well, I have to run through the forest to find the outhouse. That's what I have to do. It's grueling. Let me tell you that.
So more power to him. He's gone, and he's hitting the heights. He's reached the very pinnacle of the game. So fair play to him.
Fair play indeed.
Heard to say to Ronaldo, "Where's your Superliga, Bratislavan Superliga trophy? You stupid Portuguese idiot." That's what I'm taking. Does he keep his rating? Because he's not got any worse, has he, in the second half of the season?
It'd be hilarious if I docked him, but no, I've kept it the same.
Because he had the article about getting the runs. Right. It's the person that Luke thought he was going to be talking about. It's our striker. He's our number 9. He's Lee Gregory.
Lee Gregory's halftime score was an A. Was previously, I think at the time, at one point, in the press, he was referred to as Mr. 40% because he was involved in 40% of the goals at that stage. So the interesting thing is actually, at the end of this, to talk about goal involvement, he had 22 out of 79 goals, including the 78 in regular season and the paltry one goal we scored against Sunderland in the playoffs. So he ends up at 27% total, roughly. I predicted 15 goals at the start of the season for our number 9. And in the halftime report, I asked Gregory for 20. He ended up with 17. And he would have been there had it not been for injury. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to think that 100% fit Gregory is probably one of those things that's a difference between playoffs and promotion. Automatic promotion material. Not to get too down the stage, but Gregory has been everything we wanted from a marquee number 9 signing. Brilliant. I love his shithousery, his guile, his poucher's Nouse, and the huge focus point for us up front.
Was that supposed to be Poacher's Nouse?
No, it's Poucher's Nose. It's a popular saying, Rich. Get with the times, man. Come on.
I like
ragging you through every episode. I'm sick of it.
I like the sound of it. His poucher's Nouse.
Oh, he's got a little poucher face.
Why is Gregory not in the starting lineup this week? He's torn his poucher's Nouse. Yeah, real tragedy. No real tragedy. Nobody's anywhere near him. He just turned around quickly. Poucher's Nouse.
As much as I love Championship Manager, my least favourite moments when tells you your star striker has torn his poucher's Nouse. He's got the poacher's Nouse. Thank you. He's been a huge focus point for us up front as well, in addition to all those features. I think the interesting thing is his strength may mark him out for defenders to write off his footballing ability, and he can certainly finish and do damage very artfully. Looking forward to seeing who partners him next season and more of his wonderful dark arts.
Yes.
I maybe gave a little bit. I maybe revealed this a little bit too soon. But he gets an A+ as well. So he is a joint highest mark in the Wednesday Players Season Review.
I co-sign on so many things there. I think his outstanding pouches now. His Stricker's instinct. But no, I mean, what more could we have asked for? I thought we were getting a kind of workaday journeyman striker, but he's been a revelation to me. I was not hugely aware of his work, and I've just really enjoyed. I enjoyed what he did early in the season, but I think the second half of the season he's just been so good. So many games, and I love when he has had several games where he's just been completely unplayable. And I love that when he's just defenders are bouncing off him, and he just looks like he's quicker, stronger, works harder than everybody else on the pitch. Yeah, what a great guy! What a great signing! Great second half of the season he's had, and another one that adds to that kind of tragedy of probably deserved a promotion on his record for just how well he's played this season. Him and Bannon both. I think if we'd been able to consistently call on Windass as his strike partner, then maybe that would have happened, or maybe if Berahino had turned up a bit earlier, who knows? But yeah, lovely. What a fantastic player he's been for us, and look forward to another year with his gill and his all of his bits and pieces. I was going to do another list there, but I've stopped myself. Let's go on to number 32, making his return to Wednesday this season, Jackie Hunt.
Jack Hunt. Jack Hunt got an A- at half time. Deserved halfway, and I thought he might get slightly better as the season goes on. And I think we've seen that. Just very dependable and a nice return ticket for Jack Hunt. I'd love him back next season, and I hope we get one more sniff of his changed body. But I loved him developing that late win-back arrival into the box with his predatorial arrow like a diving X-Wing in the corridor of a Death Star.
Excellent stuff.
The scarily goal-bothering ended there, but it was great to see, and he did bag a couple in the process as well. I've got fond memories of this season of him absolutely surging down that wing and owning the right flank this season. I remember one occasion, I think he just kind of just pulled one of their players out the way, just effortlessly. Very much just really owned that part of the pitch. So as part of the process, I've upgraded him to an A.
I agree. A good first half, an even better second half. Quite ironic that the alphabet puts them together, Hunt and Gregory, because they're similar in that guys that they did well before, have done better since, and oh man, I hope we get to keep him another year. I think there's still a lot of juice in the Jacques Hunt berry. He's a player I just really love. I just think he's honest as the day is long. I just really love the way I think he makes life easy for other players around him because he's so reliable. Just flicking a ball out into that channel, he will do his darndest to turn that into something. And so many times he turns a lost cause into a cross or a pass or another run at a defender. And yeah, I think it speaks so highly of him that we just effectively just let him go on that wing and almost don't really help him very much. Don't back him up a huge amount. He's just expected and to do it all himself, and he does it beautifully. What a great guy. Well-deserved A, and fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we get another year out of him. His changing body, his hot tub buddies. We're all combining our resources to pull for a bit more Jack Hunt. Another person that's had a kind of in and out time of it with Wednesday is Sammy Hutchinson, number 5.
Sam Hutchinson. I gave him a B at the halfway stage in that midterm report. Unfortunately, his latest stint with Wednesday is currently on the cliffhanger moment of whether this is the last we will see of him, and there's genuinely a big question mark over his future and also his impact this season. Relatively dependable when others haven't been, but still the overarching feeling of someone is very much at the latter end of their Wednesday career. Ultimately, we need to do better from a starting perspective, and personally, I think it's time that we don't see him again play for Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us all to move on, and maybe the sadness was in making a poorly timed semi-retirement move to Greece that worked out very badly with the pandemic, and then turning his dad's army arrow back to the shores of Essex. I want to say thanks for what he did do larger this season, though the aftertaste of him existing between 2 actions against Ross Stewart and then an unfortunate injury making us completely lose our defensive cohesion in the second leg are very haunting moments, unfortunately. I hate seeing anyone be injured, and I hope he's healing well from his concussion, but I oddly fear Hutchinson being taken off the field of play with Terry Butcher-like bleeding only adds to his fans' cult status of him being a warrior.
Yes.
We almost got away with the mileage of him on centre-back, but we need to start rethinking the spine of his team and not turn to Sam because he bleeds blue and white. I downgrade him to a B-.
Yeah. There's a rather, I think obviously he's a bit of a divisive figure. Well, Sam Hutchinson is, but in this case I'm talking about Gary Neville. But I've enjoyed at times, particularly the first episode. He does a series called Soccer Box, where effectively another player comes and sits with him. They watch kind of maybe their debut or some sort of breakthrough game for that player, and they watch a game where Gary Neville's done quite well against them, and a game where Gary Neville's maybe done less well against them, or they've done really well against Gary Neville. But it's quite interesting for how open and honest the conversation is, and I think they talk about in a way that you don't often hear professionals. Well, you don't often hear footballers talk quite candidly. And one of the things Gary Neville talks about is his last couple of years at United, and he just sort of said, I just hated playing because I stopped thinking about how I could help the team, and all my thoughts were about not messing up and not causing problems for the team. And I feel like we've crossed that Rubicon. I feel like Sam Hutchinson's crossed that Rubicon, and I feel like we've crossed that Rubicon with him. I think his mistake in the playoffs was absolutely about doubting himself and his legs at this stage. He didn't trust himself to win the race to clear the ball, so he had to change his mind and do something else. And in the time it took his brain to think through that, Ross Stewart, younger, quicker, stronger, etc., acted decisively and stole through. And I think there have been other moments like that we've got away with, where he's second-guessed himself and he's thought about things and been caught out, and we've got away with them. This was obviously we would have probably rather been punished in one of the other games than in the playoff semi-final, to be honest. But I do hope this is the end of it. There's been some great things. Sam Hutchins has been a fantastic player for this club more often than not. That when he's been on the pitch, it's been very hard to criticize his job of work that he's done. Outside of that, he's a tricky character at times. And I think we just need to cancel this drama. Season 10 or whatever it is of the Hutchinson show, it doesn't happen on the Sheffield Wednesday network. It happens somewhere else if it's going to happen. I think we need to be out of the Hutchinson business. We need experience, but not such experience that your legs are gone. And I think that's the point we've reached.
Which lower level Freeview UK digital channel do you think Sam Hutchinson show should go to?
The Amazon have just launched a new one that it might work. Freevee or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Used to be IMDb TV and now it's Freevee. So maybe it would go there. Hey You really seems to be the home of reality television. Who knows? Between those two stools.
I'd love to see Sam Hutchinson rock up on the Real Housewives.
The Real Housewives of Essex.
Maybe themed with the general kind of weird, odd Christian bashing that we seem to be going through here, and I apologise if anyone is of that faith. Maybe he should go
There's
to...
no criticism of Christianity. It's just a factor. It's a facet of whether you play for our football club or not at this point in time. Seems to be.
Well, maybe the Mormon thing, he could end up at the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, perhaps.
Yeah. Or Paphos. Get back to Paphos.
Paphos. Real Housewives of Paphos.
Real Housewives of Paphos, mate. We're completely intertwined with the locals. We go along to the local boozer, the old Nag's Head. We go along to the local news agents. it's all, you know, we're very much intertwined with the Greek culture here in Paphos. Yeah, no, I think a downgrade is, it's harsh but fair, I think is the is the thing there.
I don't know. I think I saw a comment saying that we've had like very early talks to see if that would be a fit between Wednesday and Sam Hutchinson, and I just no. I think it's too much. I think I felt like, I don't know, in some ways, because we always saw him as a player in the middle of the park, and then, you know, he regressed back, you know, in this elder statesman part of his career.
Yeah.
Centre back. I thought it would be something that would have worked, and I think at times we did get some juice out of it, but I think there was some positivity from me previously about, but it still feels like a PR move, him coming back.
Yeah, I can see that. Apologies for coughing there. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. I was trying to mute myself and I ended up turning the video off instead.
Which has no bearing on the podcast listeners, as this is an audio art film.
Do you know, I think in a way though, the type of centre back he is, I think one of the nodes of what was wrong this season, what needs to change for next season. One of the consistent the things that's bitten us on the bum is we were too nice of a team. We were too much of a championship team. We were not a League One team. And I think when Hutch has got found out as a centre back is against a big, dirty, great League One striker more often than not, because he's just not. At the end of the day, you're either 6'4" or you're not, and he's not. So when push comes to shove, and it just becomes a thing of sheer physicality, he's going to lose those battles. So the fact he's comfortable with the ball at his feet, he's got an air of kind of class and grace about the way he plays, because he's been trained at a very high level. That's great. That's all lovely stuff. But when it comes down to just a League One, when you're being pressed incessantly, when you've got people grabbing you, pulling your shirt, heading, punching, whatever else, it all doesn't work. And that's that. This team doesn't work when it has to fight more often than not, and he's been kind of case in point of that. Shall we pootle along to number 6 in the squad? Another person I'm surprised he's played as much as he did, Dominic Iorfa. 16 starts and 3 off the bench in the league. He also played a League Cup game and a pizza trophy game.
So the halftime mark, he got a B- at that point, and I think that's fair. You know, he came back and looked a bit unfit and a bit out of it. He's the only contracted centre back at the club for next season now, as we speak. Yeesh. I've just lost any hope of him getting in the 11. I think we will see what we can get out of the tired, dusty orange named Iorfa, and then he's free to see where he can get a contract following that. I don't know if I can dock points further from his first half of the season. As for any complacency he showed us, he was largely all right. I think he lives at a B-. There's not enough in what we've seen to kind of counter his injury periods and then that degree of complacency / maybe a touch of laziness when he's on. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's too many opportunities and there's too much grace being given him. Like,
interesting, yeah.
I think I'm done. It's just there's a few players I'm disappointed to see coming into next season.
Isn't it weird, because it felt like when we gave him the new deal, that was we went through an odd period of being shrewd about our business, and that felt like one of our shrewd moves was that we gave him a contract so that when he inevitably, it wasn't a case of if, when he moved away for big money, we would at least get paid. And then that has really, really not been the case. And I suppose Windass is probably in that same sort of bag. We'll not get to him yet because obviously he's very late in the alphabet. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think I'm at the point where I've given up hope, but it is dwindling. It's a fine candlelight that is flickering in the wind in terms of my hopes for Iorfa and his time as a Wednesday player.
I mean, previous to this, we've just talked, prior to Iorfa, obviously alphabetically, we talked about Hutchinson, who, we definitely remember a part of his Wednesday career when Hutchinson was great. But, like, it was just a question of, like, well, with injury niggles and red cards and suspensions, how much are we going to get out of Hutchinson?
But aren't we talking about two players that have got almost 10 years between them?
Almost. It's close.
It's close, not. That's hyperbolic. But Iorfa's only 26 years old.
He's only 26. I know, but like
Hutch is 32. It's 5 years. It's not 10 years. Sorry, but I don't know. It just feels early to be talking about someone who's just kind of been completely irretrievably broken.
But we've also. It was this episode we talked about Lewis Gibson.
Yeah. Man alive, he was our player of the year, 2019 to 2020. That seems a
1990. When he was 4, he was Wednesday's player of the season. Couldn't stop us getting relegated, but he was great. Loved
him. So he's got another year till 2023. I don't know. I'm still broadly hopeful. He's played twice as much this season than he did last season, so maybe he's on an upward trajectory, and we'll get 30 games out of him next year. Who knows? This one, I think we're going to spend an awful lot of time talking about because it's really fascinating character study. Saw so much of him. It's number 30. It's Tyrese John Jules.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a 3-hour episode, isn't it, Reg? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm feeling a little bit tired, but the very mention of this name has perked me right up, like a shot of espresso. I should have stood up when I was saying it to give it the proper kudos.
Well, maybe that is an apt term. A shot of espresso. That was pretty much the involvement from Tyrese John Jules this season.
That was his entire Wednesday career.
Yeah, I think that what we can say is that what a promising moment it is for Arsenal's academy that they can develop players that look about as good as Silasau with for
the 30 seconds that they get on the
30
pitch.
seconds that he gets on the pitch. Impeccably lucky for us and for him, I must say, to be sympathetic. I guess we will never know.
Another one though, Luke, that there is some talk about him because I think Darren Moore's had him. Darren Moore had him at Donny previously. He might go in for a double dip, a triple dip.
Make some new friends, Darren.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think you need a new social circle. We're going to step in here. We're going to introduce you to some competent players.
The big question that's going to follow him throughout his career is: would you prefer Danny or him? That's the thing, isn't it? Would you prefer Tyrese or Danny John Jules?
The old daddy or chips kind of argument, you mean?
Exactly, and I think we'd want Cat from Red Dwarf at this point, wouldn't we? Over 5 minutes of underwhelming play, and then nothing for months and months and months on end.
Yeah. Maybe next time we get humped at homes at Shrewsbury, Cat can come out and go, wow! And then we'll have a bit of a laugh.
Wouldn't it be good? Wouldn't it be nice?
It would be good, yeah. That'd be all
right. Trying to have some sort of intercourse with anything that moves. What a great guy. We managed to keep that to quite a light number there. Squad, did we give a number?
I was just going to say, I don't know if we got onto that. He gets a booby prized C-.
C-. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so generous.
It is generous, isn't it?
Oh, you're feeling so benevolent, Luke.
To some people. And to some people. Other people do not get the benefits of my benevolence, so.
Next up, number 18, Marvellous Marvin Johnson.
From John Jules to Johnson. It's Mr. Marvellous Marvin, the effervescent Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guess what mark I gave Marvin Johnson at the halfway stage?
Now I'm trying to think, because I think I think we may have.
Mm.
We may have been starting to turn the corner of being a little bit convinced of his left-sided centre back berth, possibly. So I'm thinking maybe C plus or maybe a B minus.
I gave him a C at the halfway mark.
Oh, okay.
Huge improvement on his poor first attempt at the wing, and then obviously a slow rotation to a centre back free option.
Mm,
Such a strange and oddly disappointing first stint with the team, and no idea what we'd brought him in for and what to do with him,
yeah.
albeit with decent crossing despite his other failings. Since then, he's come on massively and made that left wing back berth his own with some incredible performances. Effervescent, marvellous Marvin, with his wicked crosses on the left, has been such a pivotal story of our second half goal tally. Dangerous and classy, he gets a chunky A.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. He's. It's a long time since I've seen such a good crosser of the ball as Marvin Johnson.
Hmm.
The odd one flies away. He's not perfect, but he's playing for us in League One. He couldn't be
I don't.
perfect.
Do you remember any, like, who else did we have who could put in fantastic crosses during, like, the Carvajal reign?
Well, Wallace was pretty good at times, but
Not quite consistent enough though with Wallace.
not very consistent. No.
I mean Wallace's kind of memories are like, we had a chunk of a few screamers, right, from
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
In the midst of a few kind of nice pieces and some nice assists, but not nowhere near as consistent as Johnson, I must say. I mean,
No, I'd agree.
this is a lower league, let's be honest. It's a lower
Yeah.
standard of quality, so he's probably afforded a bit more time on the ball, let's be honest. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't think we've seen anyone that's consistently good from crossing like Johnson.
Not for a long. I mean, because Keith Tracy looked good, but it was such a brief flash in the pan
Mm,
in his career. Liera at times looked pretty good at crossing the ball in, but I mean, we're already going back a decade to kind of find an equal
yeah.
or something close to an equal, which I think speaks highly enough in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love his kind of stick to itness that he doesn't sort of get cowed very easily. He will like ride a challenge, or he'll work his way past a challenge to get the ball away as well. And yeah, really good stuff, and a natural for that left wing back position. I also don't hate him being left-sided centre back, as we touched on in the previous episode. I think when we want to put all the meat on the fire when we're chasing games, it's a nice option to have that he can almost be a second fullback on that side, and let the wing back just push forward and kind of cause chaos.
Well, that was the real triumph of during Palmer and Johnson as centre back. I mean, we kind of had some misgivings about our defensive nature, but wow, it was beautiful to watch. The very much the overlapping centre back kind of mentality, right?
Yeah,
wing, and you've got a second. There's another unit on the side. Really, there's another.
Yeah. We understood what all the fuss was about with Tufty at Sheffield United on those occasions. We had our own little taste and we loved it. Yeah, I think an A seems really fair. What a tremendous upturn in form from him, and another player just seeing that build and getting better, and possibly another podium member. We want to allude to this glittering, glorious podium that Luke's got in his mind, but he's not going to tell us yet. He's not telling us about it yet. In the meantime, we will move along to international man of mystery, Florian Camberi.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
20 in the squad. Yeah, baby, yeah.
Flow Rider Camberi. A man who got a B minus at the halftime mark. I think we saw this player come in and look to cheaply fill a New You-like place in our hearts. Almost like a fake liver that has been implanted and our collective Wednesdayite bodies slowly rejected it. I wondered if the narrative of Berahino coming to his own have made the option of Florian Camberi a non-starter. I was also wondering if we would have had a strange minutes experiment that he would have notched a few more goals had we only had the option to play him.
Yeah.
in a bit more of a kind of new you kind of fashion. Still, there was an intriguing first half of the season, and a feeling that embedded in the bramble knots beneath barbed wire, in the shape of a man, is a player somewhere in there. If any of that makes sense at all. It just lives in some fawny, surreal hibernation. Not awoken anywhere near enough to make me
Poetic.
think.
Beautiful.
Not awoken anywhere near enough to make me think he's just a fifth string striker in a third tier Sheffield Wednesday side. He got a B minus back then. I think it's downgraded. I think ultimately a C plus is about right
Yeah.
for.
And maybe
Um,
not through any fault of his own.
no, no, and I
I don't think he got the chances second half of the
You know, I
season.
remember when Berahino was still kind of beginning to come into his own and kind of establish himself in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Gregory was injured. Windass obviously was a long way out. So I remember one game we started with So and Canberry, and I wondered whether there might be some kind of strange alchemy that might kind of work with putting these two people together.
Yeah.
I mean, usually if you
Yeah. It
put
worked
two,
so well that one game, didn't it? That worked so well just once.
was that one of the Pizza Cup games? I think it was good.
Possibly, possibly.
Yeah,
But
and that was against like a lesser opposition, but
yeah.
still, it looked like maybe there could be something in that. And I remember then we went with that, and both of them were hauled off, and it was like, yeah, that didn't work at all. I remember being really
Yeah.
disappointed that it didn't work, disappointed in them and for them both, for Sal
That was a
and
Doncaster game, wasn't it? I think
it was, and
so pivotal in so many
I
ways.
think I might have also mentioned whether there was like a comparison to, that Lukai reign when we suddenly looked to a bit further down the rankings and we had a partnership that worked really, really well of Zhao and Nuyu.
Mm,
But Nuyu
yeah.
is like in a space, maybe, well, Nuyu is often playing for contracts, but I think that run of games and playing alongside Zhao, those two were just electric together.
Yeah.
So I think I hope for like a slightly lesser version of that, but then I think I misgave that both of those players are considerably better than So and
Yes.
Canberry, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it's just such an odd loan that came in. Like I don't mind having an odd loan or signing like So and
Mm,
Canberry for that fourth fist because it's like potentially this player could be good or this player potentially has something that the other options don't have, and then
yeah.
it's something we can look to, and someone who can get minutes and then maybe give something in part of that process. Um, so I don't mind seeing them, but like the only problem with that is it's still a bit of a gamble, and there's still a player that you think, hey, it didn't work out because we didn't think it would work out, but we can afford to take a gamble
Yeah.
or two. I mean, when we
Yeah.
brought Berahino in, it felt a bit like we can probably afford to make that gamble of bringing him in
Yeah.
and seeing if he can do it, and I think it paid off.
Yes.
Definitely paid off.
Yeah.
But this one, eh.
Yeah. Because I think it's a relatively positive rating first half of the season, and I think partly that was based on the fact he did get goals. He didn't play that often, but his actual kind
Mm,
of goals to game ratio or goals to minute on the pitch ratio was rather good at
how
that point, I
how many
think.
goals did he end up with, Rich?
Well, he ended up with five, and I'm going to check soccer base, but I would bet he had five at the halfway point.
He didn't score at all in the second half.
Well, I'm going to double check, but I would that would be my presumption.
Hmm. That seems. I mean, I think that seems about right, really. Like the players who kind of do well before we really got going.
Let's have a look here. Yeah, his last goal was the 20th of November.
Hmm.
So the goals just completely dried up.
Four in the league, one in the pizza
Yeah,
cup. Yeah.
because I think that's the thing, isn't it? Berahino, you look at somebody like Berahino and you're like, okay, that was a gamble. Didn't really know what we were going to get, but to end the season with kind of 10 goals to his name, not bad. Well done, Berahino.
Hmm.
And I think if Canberra had been the same, if we'd got another 5 goals out of him in the second half of the season, again, you probably would go, yeah, that wasn't a bad loan. Another, 10 goals probably didn't cost that much. He came in and he bagged fairly regularly. You'd think that was a fairly all right thing, but it just didn't happen that second half of the season. I don't think he had the chances. He wasn't given as many rolls of the dice, but um, he wasn't taking the chances when he got them either. So it swings and roundabouts. It all adds up to the same point, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last one for this section, someone who I think we're all fairly convinced has probably kicked their last ball in a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. Number 21, Massimo Luongo.
Action Mass. And
Mass.
maybe the player of Different Gravy's era in a weird way. You know, fond favourites of Rich and I, you know, going with us through this entirety of these 3 seasons. And B+ at the half-time mark. That was the midterm review. I'm just glad we got to see the bulk of the season played by him. You know, it's a nice fitting send-off of who he is and who he's been for Wednesday to get most out of the Action Mass big Tim Tam Pie. Great in that midfield trio alongside Byers and Baz. Legs, class, and the old tackle in the middle of the park.
Yes.
And he got a rare goal as well before he left as well. I mean, it felt a long time since, that first season. I think did he score 2 at home against Stoke in a win?
So,
in the midweek, and there was some decent goals. But what did we have? We had that goal where he was on the line, right?
We did, yeah.
Showed his Pouch's nose by getting in front of the keeper.
Pouch's nose, doing an Avrahid kick. Great anticipation.
So it's good to see him. It was really good to see him score. Really happy for him. I'm glad we got somewhere close to depending on him. I think I'm going to upgrade him to an A- at the end, which is great considering he did miss a bit of a chunk of football this season. Thank you, Massimo. We've loved watching you play, and you're the spirit animal of Different Gravy.
Yes.
And by that I mean he can be class, but he goes missing through injury.
And he gets tired towards the end of the game sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's bittersweet, isn't it? Because he's been so good every time he's played. Barely ever put a foot wrong. It's just not happened enough during his period of being at Sheffield Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So much to his game. You can see why he sort of was on the very kind of precipice of being actually a real noise in world football at one point. You know, he was, lest we forget, Ballon d'Or nominated Massimo Luongo. But you can see, frequently getting plaudits for being like the most accurate tackler, the most active tackler in the league. But in addition to that, that's not his game. He's not a sort of down and dirty game player. He's someone who's got a great range of passing. He has shown some ability around the edge of the box with shooting. Really, a really great guy, really great player, and goes off presumably back to Australia with the best wishes of the Gravy crew. Good aim, mate. Pop another prawn on the barbie.
Yes.
Not a shrimp. That's stupid.
Not a shrimp. They would refer to them as prawns. Like
exactly.
Fucking prawns.
So that's another 11 in the bag.
And
I definitely won't be able to tell that we've recorded these all in a row. We're definitely not flagging. We've just got as much energy. We're just as excited and enthusiastic as we were. And we're going to once again say cheery bye. Wish you all the best. Luke, the folks at home, everyone out in between. Cheerio.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.